I found the forum on a night like any other. Bored, restless, I ventured into the dark web for a thrill. I didn't expect much. Just a few creepy tales, maybe some unsettling videos. But what I stumbled upon was far worse. The thread was titled Liminal Spaces, What Lies Between. It was filled with chilling accounts of experiences in the spaces we often overlook. The hallways, stairwells, and empty rooms. As I read, a sense of unease settled in. Each story twisted something familiar into something grotesque. The more I read, the more I felt my own home become alien. There was a user named Echo. They posted a story about a friend who'd vanished in a mall. One moment, he was there, and the next, gone. The friend had stepped into a bathroom stall. When he didn't come back, his buddy searched. The stall was empty, but the air felt thick, suffocating. He claimed he could hear whispers, echoes of distant voices calling his name. I laughed nervously, but a shiver crawled up my spine. I glanced at my own hallway, shadowy and quiet. It felt like a doorway to nowhere. The posts kept coming. Another user shared a tale about an abandoned hotel. They said the rooms shifted, doors leading to walls instead of hallways. A group of friends went in for a thrill. They entered one room, and when they turned to leave, their exit had vanished. They wandered, panic rising as they found themselves trapped in a maze of shifting walls. One by one, they stopped answering their phones. Echo replied to the conversation, urging caution.
You don't know what's watching you in those spaces.
I felt a chill. I should have closed my laptop. I should have left the dark web behind. Instead, I clicked on a link. A video titled, Finding Echo. The screen flickered, revealing a dimly lit corridor. The camera swayed, as if the person filming was moving hesitantly. Whispers echoed through the air, soft, pleading, and distant. The camera pushed forward, the sound growing clearer. Help me, it begged. I felt sick. The camera stopped at a door. It swung open, revealing a dark room. The figure of a man stood in the corner, shrouded in shadow. His face was obscured.
You shouldn't be here,
he said, voice low and gravelly. And then, a scream. The screen went black. My heart raced. I needed to shut it down, but I couldn't. I was trapped, just like those stories. I scrolled through the comments. Echo had posted again. It's not just a story. It's a warning. I quickly typed a response, asking for clarification. No reply. Instead, an alert popped up. You have a new message. I clicked, heart pounding.
I see you.
I froze. I was alone in my room, or so I thought. I glanced at the hallway again. It felt darker, more oppressive. The air was thick with dread. I could hear my heartbeat thumping in my ears. My phone buzzed. Another message.
You're closer than you think.
Panic surged through me. I rushed to my window, only to find the street outside cloaked in shadow. The world felt distant, unreal. Then, a sound from the hallway, a soft whisper calling my name. Is someone there? I shouted, voice trembling. Silence. I turned back to the screen. The video had resumed. The man in the corner was closer now. His face was still hidden, but I felt his eyes boring into me. You're not safe, he warned. They are waiting. I stumbled back, feeling nauseous. The whispers grew louder, surrounding me. Help me, help me. I slammed my laptop shut. The darkness felt alive, pressing in from all sides. I turned on the lights, desperate for some semblance of safety. Then, my phone buzzed again. I hesitated, dread pooling in my stomach.
Look behind you.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to turn around, but the whisper grew louder, insistent. Finally, I turned. The hallway was empty, but the door to my room was ajar, a shadowy figure lingering just outside. I rushed to slam it shut. but it was too late. The whispers had stopped. In the silence, a new sound emerged, a soft chuckle, echoing through the dark web, drawing me into a void I could never escape. There was no way out. Only the abyss waiting for me. I know I shouldn't have gone on the dark web. Everyone warns you about it. They talk about hackers, illegal marketplaces, and stuff you just can't unsee. But I wasn't there for anything sinister. At least not at first. I was just bored, chasing an adrenaline rush I couldn't find anywhere else. It started with a forum, some obscure thread titled Maps to Reality's Edges. It sounded like the kind of pseudo-philosophical nonsense you'd expect from conspiracy theorists. People were posting about things like liminal zones and non-Euclidean spaces. But then someone mentioned the Backrooms. You've probably heard of them. A labyrinth of endless empty yellow rooms with that sickly buzzing fluorescent light. It's become internet folklore at this point, but something about it always unsettled me. So when I saw a user claiming they had a map to a guaranteed entry point, I couldn't resist. I thought it was a joke, some kind of ARG. Curiosity got the better of me. The user's handle was nulldive, and their post was simple. DM for the path. Payment in crypto only. Against my better judgment, I sent them a message. They replied almost instantly, like they were waiting for someone. Send $500 in Bitcoin. I'll send you the link. I hesitated. This was clearly a scam, but something about the speed of their reply, the cold confidence in their words, it unnerved me. I convinced myself it was just for fun. If nothing else, it'd make for a good story to tell later. I paid. Within minutes, I got a link to a file sharing site. The file was called thresholdmap.vrz. It was only a few megabytes, a simple image file. At first glance, it was just a grainy black and white map with incomprehensible symbols, like some mix between a blueprint and a sigil. But underneath it, there were instructions. Find a door with no number. Walk through at exactly 3:33 a.m. Bring no electronic devices. The specificity was unnerving. Still, I thought it was part of the act, the game they were playing. I decided to follow through, just to see what would happen. The hardest part was finding a door with no number. I live in a city with old, crumbling buildings, so I started there. After a few nights of searching, I found one. An unmarked door in the basement of a condemned office building. The handle was rusted, and the frame looked warped, like the wood itself was trying to twist away from the wall. It didn't lead anywhere, according to the blueprints I found online. Perfect, right? That night, I sat in my car, watching the minutes crawl closer to 3:33 a.m. My heart was pounding, and for the first time, I thought about backing out. But I'd already come this far. When the time came, I grabbed my flashlight and headed inside. The door creaked open, revealing nothing but darkness. My flashlight barely pierced through it, illuminating an empty hallway that stretched too far to belong to the building I was in. The walls were a nauseating shade of yellow, and the carpet, if you could call it that, was damp and reeked of mildew. I stepped inside, and the door slammed shut behind me. I spun around, but there was no handle, no way back out. Panic started to set in, but I told myself this was just an elaborate prank. Someone was probably watching me, laughing as I freaked out. The further I walked, the more I realized something was wrong. The hallway didn't make sense. It branched off into impossible angles, twisted in ways that made my head spin. My flashlight began to flicker, the beam growing weaker with every step. That's when I heard it, a faint, distant hum. At first, I thought it was the fluorescent lights, but the sound grew louder, more distinct. It wasn't mechanical, it was organic, like a low guttural breathing, too steady to belong to anything human. I turned a corner and froze. Something moved in the distance. It was just a shadow at first, But then it grew, stretching across the wall. It didn't make sense. It wasn't connected to anything. The shadow moved independently, slithering closer like it was alive. I ran. I didn't know where I was going, but every turn I took seemed to lead me deeper into the maze. The walls began to close in, the yellow tint growing darker, more sickly. The carpet squelched beneath my feet, and the air grew thicker, harder to breathe. The humming turned into a chorus of whispers, words I couldn't understand, spoken in a language that felt older than time itself. They weren't just around me, they were in my head, digging into my thoughts like hooks. I don't know how long I ran before I found it. A door. It looked out of place, newer than the rest of the back rooms. My hands shook as I grabbed the handle, half expecting it to disappear. But it didn't. The door opened, revealing nothing but blackness. I stepped through, desperate to escape. I woke up in my apartment. At least, it looked like my apartment. Everything was where it should be, but it felt off. The colors were too bright, the air too still. I checked my phone, but it wouldn't turn on. None of my electronics would. That was 3 days ago. Since then, I've noticed small changes. My neighbors aren't the same. They smile too much, their movements too deliberate. The hum is back, faint but constant, like a mosquito buzzing in my ear. And last night, I found something scratched into my bedroom wall.
You shouldn't have opened the door.